Hi, I'm Britt,
And my name is Alissa.
and this is Skeletales.
And this is the podcast where we strive to answer the age-old question of, is my dead grandma watching me?
We do. We also share true tales of the strange, unusual, and paranormal. What are we talking about, Alissa?
Time slips, time travel,
Missing time.
missing. No, that's not what I'm talking about.
Oh, well, I have one story that is going to really disappoint you.
I skipped right over those ones, but that's okay. I'm excited to hear. I'm excited to hear what we got here. I love time travel. I can't get enough. I love it so much. I love the idea of it.
I'm very excited too. Okay, I want you to go first, though. What do you have for me tonight?
Okay. My first story comes from Matilda, and they say, my best friend, who I regarded as a sister, was American, and she hated the heat of California, so she came to visit me in our Australian winter to enjoy cool air for a few weeks.
Nice. Oh yeah.
Lord.
Does
It's
she
Australian.
Does
Yeah,
she
this
talk?
is too long for that bullshit. I can't do that. She brought her pajamas, her winter pajamas, blue background, and with billowing. You see, you just don't even hear the story through it.
Okay. You tried. You gave it an effort. Good
Thank
job.
you. That was for you, Britt. She brought her winter pajamas, blue background with billowing, smiling white clouds, a very eye-catching outfit. As I have no clothes dryer, I always hang laundry outdoors, and those PJs flapping in the wind always made me smile at their cheery pattern. That was June 2011. My American sister, quote unquote, returned to the U.S. in September. In early December, I had this strange... Okay, sorry. Did I say that was June 2011? Did I just read that out loud? Make note of that.
Okay. June, and then she left in September.
So that was June 2011. Just bookmark that, not even for this story. Just pay attention to that. So that was June 2011. My American sister, quote unquote, returned to the USA in September. In early December, I had the strangest feeling that I could hear her voice and movements in the guest room. But of course, that was impossible. She was thousands of miles away. The time slip occurred shortly afterwards. I was in my backyard, hanging out washing on a glorious summer day, and then the sky darkened, an icy wind began to blow, and the environment altered. From lush growth all around, suddenly the trees were back to winter with bare boughs. The flowers and butterflies vanished, and what did I see but those gorgeous PJs blowing on the line?
What?
I stood very still and stared, unable to comprehend what the hell was happening, and wondering if I were hallucinating. This lasted maybe 4 minutes. Then abruptly, I was back in summer, lovely sunshine and no cloud-patterned pajamas on the line. Early the next morning, around 2 a.m., I was awoken from sleep with a sense of shock, heart thumping, finding it hard to breathe. A sad voice spoke in the gloom. Your sister is dead. I turned on the light. Nobody was around. I felt very restless, and it took a while to settle down. At noon that same day, I received a phone call from the United States telling me that my beloved friend had suddenly died. I almost collapsed with shock. I was even more shocked when I learned that she had died at 2 a.m. Australian time. I have no explanation for any of this. I'm not religious, and I believe that science can probably eventually explain these strange experiences.
That had it all. That had time slips, ghostly voices, premonitions. Holy shit. Oh, and that's so sad about her friend. They really did have a deep connection, those two.
I know. So I like that one because it did have a little bit of everything for Skeletales. But the fact, there's a couple things that in this story that I found to be a pattern in some of these stories. So I won't point it out yet. Let's just see them emerge. Let's see if it holds up.
All right.
I'll let you in later.
I'm into this. It's like the long play for the episode.
Yeah, exactly.
Are you ready for my story?
Yes.
Okay. This comes from Kaj. I was lucky enough to study abroad for 1 year in a master's program in Brighton, England. I found a quote-unquote American whiskey bar, which had exactly 0 Americans involved in the business or operations, an oversight I kindly offered to remedy for them, and started bartending there part-time. It was on a main thoroughfare, but a mile or so from the city center. It wasn't close to the train station or late night bars, and there weren't a lot of shops that stayed open until near bar closing time, except for a handful of generic fast food places. On the rare night I was sent home before closing time, I'd sometimes celebrate by stopping to grab dinner at one of the shops that were never open when I typically am walking home. A particular favorite was a kebab shop that had the perfect pickles, the perfect sauces, and the same guy always working behind the counter. Everything about the place was generic. Generic white walls, generic counter, generic register. The man who worked there was an average-looking, middle-aged guy from Middle Eastern descent. I honestly can't recall anything about a specific interaction that we'd had because it was all just so average, but the food was delicious. On a day off, having raved about the kebab shop to a friend, I tried to find my way there in the daytime. I knew it was on the south side of Western Road, and then it was between my apartment and the bar, which was less than a mile. I walked back and forth along that road looking for the shop, but could find nothing in the daylight. I had to settle for a just okay kebab shop, but I wasn't going to give up permanently. I eventually was able to find the shop one more time after work while I lived there under the same circumstances on my way home unexpectedly before the bar closing time. But I never figured out the name or managed to get there when I was trying to do so. I like to think that it was my own personal kind of room of requirement. From Harry Potter. That's
Harry Potter.
Harry Potter.
Yeah. Okay. I don't remember the room of requirement.
It only appeared if you needed something and you asked for it and you had to be on, I think, a certain floor and you tap on a wall and then a room would appear. And
Okay. I should read, but
come on, Harry Potter knowledge.
I know. I like Harry Potter. I read them all. It's been a minute. I watched them all. I do like them. I just don't. Yeah, I don't know what house I'm in. Probably the assholes. Ravenclaw. No, the Slytherin.
Yeah, actually, I think you are a Slytherin. I'm the lame one. I'm a Hufflepuff. Oh, sorry, all of you Hufflepuffles out there.
I could see you being a Hufflepuff. You don't think I'm a Gryffindor? Come on.
I'm sorry.
Damn it. Okay, well, fuck you.
Neither of us brave or chivalrous enough to be a Gryffindor.
Yeah, probably true.
All right. What do you got? Alyssa? I'm ready.
All right. My next story, Britt. You ready for it?
Oh my God, I'm so ready.
Okay, so this one comes from Disturbed Serenity. And they say, it was an early autumn afternoon around 4 to 5 p.m. in 2010. I was in my room doing some homework on my laptop at my desk. The desk faced the wall directly across from my bed, and my older style box TV was on top of my dresser to the left of my desk, about 2 feet away. I was, as usual, procrastinating doing my homework, so I was mindlessly watching some dumb TV show. Because my TV was so close, I stood up instead of using the remote to change the volume on my TV. As I reached out my left hand to press the button, as if a switch flipped, my entire environment changed. This affects me still to this day. I still feel it in my soul that something strange happened. I didn't hallucinate. It was real. I was back in my childhood home, some 20 miles away and seemingly 18 years in the past. I was standing in front of the only hallway closet in the 1-bedroom house that I grew up in. The house was over 100 years old, and the closet was one of those with the doors that slide open on tracks. You know, the ones that the doors never go back on the tracks, right? So you must be careful of how you open it. Anyway, the door to the closet was open and my already outstretched left arm was reaching towards a very distinct item. When I was little, my mother had this perfume bottle that for some reason I was absolutely in love with. The perfume itself was cheap and didn't smell particularly good to me. The bottle was glass and shaped like a bird, maybe a dove. Its wings were up and outstretched. It was beautiful, but it had a broken wing. I probably broke it, being the curious and clumsy child that I was. So there I was, one moment in my somewhat modern bedroom in 2010, then next in the old one-bedroom hallway across the country, back in time 18 years. I was there. I saw the bird bottle. I was within inches of grabbing it. My heart melted for that dumb little bottle of stinky perfume shaped like a one-winged dove. Oh my God, this is not a Fleetwood Mac song, I swear. Apparently that's something, one winged dove. What is that song? The fly like the one. Is that what she's saying?
Oh, no. You're singing Sting.
No.
Oh. Just like a white-winged dove.
That's what she's saying? A one-winged dove?
Ooh, baby. Ooh, ooh.
Wait, so that song's about a dove singing? And that, ooh, is the dove singing?
I never connected that.
What did I ever think they were saying? I am the worst. I can't understand lyrics when they're sung. Okay. A one-winged dove going, caw, caw.
Just like a one-winged dove.
Sings out the song. It's a fucking dove. I had no idea. I'm never going to hear that song again. Okay.
No.
Anyway, diversion. Okay. Back to it. So they're saying that the one-winged dove bottle, it's not a Fleetwood Mac song.
It wasn't Fleetwood Mac, it's Stevie Nicks.
Maybe Stevie Nicks had the same perfume.
Yes.
Maybe this is Stevie Nicks' child. But maybe Stevie Nicks had the same perfume bottle and the wing broke off. And she went, ooh, my dove, my one-winged dove. Okay.
I'm into it.
Before my hand could actually make physical contact with that precious bird, the switch flipped again. I was back in front of my TV, outstretched left hand and all. My mind could not comprehend what had just happened, and I felt immediately sick and dizzy. I was in such a state of shock and confusion that I just walked out of my room, down the hall, into the living room, and out into the front yard. I could do nothing but lurch over, hands on my knees, and try desperately to catch my breath, but mostly my sanity. This experience was so jarring, so real. I was physically in front of that open closet, reaching for that damn bird bottle, and then I wasn't. I wasn't particularly stressed about classes. It was a community college. I'm not prone to hallucinations and was stone cold sober when this experience happened. I've only told a few people because honestly, the subject of momentarily teleporting through time and space doesn't come up in conversation often, and I only know of a few people that I can tell. I still have no explanation, and it might have just been a weird break in psyche, but it was not a dream, and I was not under the influence of anything or under any unusual stress.
What do you think it is?
So I have a few theories. One, I mean, a lot of these time slips, like there's a lot of stories like this. This one, maybe I picked it because I feel like I've experienced something similar, but in my case, it was a migraine. And so part of me is wondering, did they get up quickly and then they kind of had a head rush and it took them back?
Oh.
But I had a migraine where I thought I was in my apartment in college, my college apartment. Like not that my setting changed what I saw, but like everything I felt, like it was so weird. I can't even describe it. I felt like I was there. I felt like I was in that apartment in college, even though my surroundings were my home where I am now, but I kind of had to keep reminding myself that I was here in the present and not back there. It was very strange. So this one to me sort of sounds like a neurological, like just a glitch, but I don't know. I mean, or it reminded them so much, like a memory, people who have PTSD or something, like their flashbacks, right? Like their flashbacks for some people are like they're there. Like they don't see anything from their present. They only see what was happening at that time. And so not that, I don't know, maybe they're real traumatized by that bird. Oh no, maybe that's just a part of this memory, right? Like maybe actually something really fucked up happened that was associated with it and they don't remember. And it like slid back in for a second.
Trying to like give her a sign.
Yeah. Ooh, surface. That one-winged dove is like flapping towards the surface of their psyche.
I kind of love the idea that somebody can time travel back into time. And those are the cases when people see their doppelganger, when it's like, oh, there's a girl in the closet. It's me.
Yeah, maybe the guy got electrocuted from his old school box TV there. Just got a good old jolt
a little
electricity.
Shock, and it like took them back to the memory.
Okay. No. Well, let's go with the time travel. It made him time travel, like Back to the Future.
Oh, yeah. It's the DeLorean. The big box TV DeLorean. We can make many movies based on the story alone.
Yes. But yeah, the electricity thing. Now make a note of that as well. It's obviously a trend. Back to the Future.
Okay. We're collecting things. We're collecting things to solve this mystery.
This one happened around 2010.
Okay. I'm sensing some things. And electricity, DeLoreans. Okay.
Hey, Brett, do you have another story?
I do, but I'm not going to tell it to you.
Shit, Brett, come on. Did you already tell it? And did I time slip away?
No.
Fuck. Okay.
Before I tell my next story, I want to share with you listeners about an artist that I met recently here in Portland at a local market. His name is Jason, and his business is Hi, Hello There. And I spotted his booth from across the market and like zoomed over there as fast as I could. His illustrations are absolutely incredible, and they sing to my heart, honestly. He draws everything from like ghosties to skulls to Bigfoot, monsters, our jam here at Skeletels, right? He takes this hand-drawn art and turns it into stickers, enamel pens, shirts, and other fun art goods. So he told me that his mission is to put art into the world that makes people smile, which is kind of also a Skeletels thing too, right?
Oh, I like to make them cry. And
this is why you're Slytherin.
Oh, shit. That's right.
Listen, if you consider yourself a fun person, you will definitely love this fun art. Go give him a follow on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and let him know that us here at Skeletels sent you. Skeletels listeners get a special discount, 15% off your order at his online shop, hihellothere.art. Use code SHADOWPEOPLE at checkout and get 15% off. Again, that's hihellothere.art. Seriously, you will want to go online and check out his art. It is delightful and fun, but with that like sprinkle of spooky. Just love it. On to my story. Are you ready?
I am ready.
This comes from Fox. In the summer of 1994, remember that date. Just kidding.
Oh, shit, I will.
Just kidding. It's not important.
It's all connected.
I worked at UPS in Minneapolis. The shift was 10 p.m. to 4 a.m. On my way home, I stopped at a Super America, which I don't know if you've ever driven through Wyoming. If you have, God bless ya. But there's a convenience gas station store called Little America, and there's billboards for it like in 300 miles you will reach Little America. Did you ever see that whilst driving through Wyoming?
Is there like a corn cob structure involved with it?
Probably. It's kind of like the Buc-ee's of Middle America.
Oh, I've seen a Buc-ee's on TikTok. Or Wall Drug is the one that really comes to mind. That one's in South Dakota.
You get the idea that these 24-hour
forever.
Yes. If you're on the highway, stop here, grab your stuff. Okay, this one was called Super America.
Okay.
Stopped at Super America for a pack of cigarettes. It was exactly 4:16 a.m. Long story short, no one was there. It was lighted, doors were open, everything looked normal, but no people, no cars, no workers, no one. I looked in all the back rooms, which were unlocked. I smelled fresh cigarette smoke and found a hot coffee in one of the offices. I looked in the parking lot, out the back of the store, near the trash bins. I yelled, "Anyone here?" And I searched for almost 10 minutes. No one was there. I took 2 packs of cigarettes and just left. I couldn't sleep. So 2 hours later, I drove out to the Super America again and found it open, fully staffed and functioning as normal at 6:30 in the morning. I asked the assistant manager if anything happened a couple of hours earlier because I thought the store was closed and I didn't want to get into any trouble. She looked genuinely puzzled and said, "We were open all night. I was here. So was she," as she pointed to the other cashier. It was the look on her face that got me. She was definitely telling me the truth.
Man, are these time slips? All these seem like this guy. One guy had a head rush, thought he was back in his childhood home.
Oh, you're doubting my stories.
Oh, absolutely.
My
this
stories. One. You with the, okay, your stories are great too. Listen.
I just poked a hole in my own story. I'm not even just pointing at yours.
I have a theory.
They were taking a shit? Because that's mine.
No, my theory is that maybe he's just real tired. He goes in and like his brain is like maybe playing tricks on him and actually is fully staffed. And there are people there. There's a dude smoking a cigarette with a hot coffee. And he's walking around being like, "Where is everyone?" And everyone is like, "What's this dude doing?" And then he just goes and grabs cigarettes while everyone's staring at him and just walks out the door. And
no
nobody
one tackled
stops him. At 4 in the morning.
I think that either they were like hooking up in the back room or they were in the bathroom or they went down to the basement or there's only 2. It's the graveyard shift.
Listen, a Buc-ee's would be popping at 2 a.m. Don't even play.
I thought he was going to be like, I went in and then I came out and it was 1 in the afternoon. I was like, what the hell did I do in there all day? I thought that this one... You just told me a story about a guy going to a convenience store while the convenience store person was smoking some dope out back.
So rude. You definitely are a Slytherin. Okay, Malfoy.
What is this? We're just going to start fighting. This is all.
I'm getting my wand out right now. Alyssa, what do you got?
Okay, so my next story, this could possibly be a whole episode on its own, apparently, because I had never heard of this before. I'm going to tell you a story first, and then we'll get into it. I'm all about the cliffhangers that are going to go nowhere tonight. You'll never get resolution on all my things. I'm just going to tell you to remember a lot of things.
Okay.
And
which
never follow up.
Okay. I'm into it.
Okay, so my next story comes from Naomi, and they say, "I believe I went through a time slip when I was 16 that transported me into the 1960s or 1970s. Well, it all began when I was meeting my friend in town. We planned to meet in a bar that I had never been before, but vaguely could locate where it was. I took a wrong turn down a side street and was lost. There was a record store that was open, so I decided to go inside and ask an employee for directions. When I asked whoever was behind the counter, they gave me an odd stare and never answered me back. I thought it was strange and I left. He was a strange character anyway, a ginger afro and sporting flared jeans. Anyway, I eventually found my way to the bar and I told my friend about this record shop. He was interested in going in, so I took him there. But when we walked to the record store, the building was empty, the paint was old and peeling, and the brick walls were hidden by old and torn posters. He never believed me. I decided to go on Google Maps to try and find the building. It's now a coffee shop called Time Cafe.
No.
Well, it's confirmed I'm a character in a Stephen King novel. Also, the street is right off Bold Street in Liverpool, a place notorious for people experiencing time slips. Had you heard about that?
No.
So Bold Street, it's a place where a lot of people have experienced time slips, apparently. And people wonder if it has something to do with the Underground Railway, which I read as Underground Railroad the first time, and I was very confused, but they're saying like the Underground, like the London Underground or whatever. I don't know what they have out in Liverpool.
The tube or whatever. Yeah.
Yes, that's it, the tube. And some people think it's a combination of the magnetic interaction between the two magnetic fields from the electrified railway and a third interaction by solar flares. Also, the street is right off Bold Street in Liverpool, a place notorious for people experiencing time slips. So I'd never heard of this Bold Street before, never heard of this, but it came up repeatedly. So I'm going to read you one, if that's okay. Can I go on
absolutely.
to that? Okay.
Yes.
Okay, so this might be one of the more famous ones, but it's about Frank and Carol. And in this first tale, Frank set off with his wife to go shopping in Liverpool back in 1996. His wife decided that she wanted to go and buy a book at Waterstones, the large bookstore, and they started to walk towards the area of the shop. As they approached Bold Street, Frank decided to go to another shop first, but bumped into a friend and stopped to chat in the street. His wife went ahead without him. A few moments later, Frank said goodbye, visited his shop, and turned to go back to meet his wife. After reaching Bold Street, he headed on towards the bookstore. As he approached, he glanced up and was surprised to see the name Cripps above the door, Cripps. As he was about to cross over to see what was going on, a van swept past him with the name Cardin's on the side. The van driver honked his old-fashioned horn and drove past. Looking around, Frank suddenly realized that things were not quite what they should be. He looked at the cars driving past and realized that they were all old-fashioned vehicles, such as people would drive back in the 50s and 60s. And then he noticed the people. Men were wearing hats and macks, and then women were dressed in headscarves, full skirts, and had old-fashioned hairstyles such as women wore just after the war. By this time, Frank was beginning to feel slightly freaked out. He carried on crossing the road and headed towards the store. As he got closer, he noticed through the window handbags, shoes, and umbrellas. Suddenly, he saw a young woman standing looking totally bemused up at the shop sign. She was wearing modern clothes, and as she saw him approaching, smiled at him. Frank went into the shop, closely followed by the young woman. When they entered, he was surprised and pleased to see that it had indeed turned back into a bookshop. The young woman smiled, shook her head, and said, "That was strange. I thought it was a new clothes shop." Then she walked away looking extremely puzzled. This may sound like an unlikely tale, but the odd thing about it is that Frank was in fact a former police officer who was used to dealing in facts and definitely wasn't the type of person who would believe in the paranormal. Frank never stopped talking about it. Was this a time slip? Evidently, Cripps was a woman's shop that sold clothes and other goods, and Cardin's was also a well-known Liverpool firm that owned vans around the time Frank found himself. Apparently, this story was like on a BBC show, and then the woman he ran into came forward and
she remembered?
So yeah, after it was on BBC, the woman came forward that he ran into. And so it was actually 1996. So it wasn't like an old lady, right? Like they just both got transported back to 1950s and 60s. And she says, yeah, at the time, I definitely remember being like amused and confused about what was going on, but also like relieved to see someone else like of my time as well. And then she goes on to say that the Underground Railway theory is interesting for the time slips because she'd actually experienced one previously shortly before she ran into Frank. And that was also right near one of the train stations. So there's something possibly with electricity. But honestly, there's like, when I was going through, there's got to be at least like 10 or 11 of these time slip stories.
Wow. Happening on this street?
Yes.
Whoa.
So if you want to have a time slip, you might like be able to make it happen if you
go to Liverpool.
Yeah, Liverpool and Bold Street. So I think we could honestly do a whole episode on it because there were so many stories and it's like a phenomena.
That is really cool. Really wild.
That was one of my Bold Street time slips.
I love your hippy hoppy jumpy storytelling, even if there's no closure to dates and times.
Oh, it's coming. You just have to stay tuned to the very end.
Okay. Okay. I'll read mine quick, like it's not a long one. This is from Delusional Kid. I was maybe 7 or 8 and I just moved into my new house. I still live there now. I think it was probably a few weeks into the move, and it was a normal night. My father was downstairs watching the Penguins game, which is what sports team, Alissa?
The Penguins must be some sort of hockey team.
Sure. I remembered that. My mother was sitting in her chair reading, and my brother was playing video games. I went to bed early that night and then woke up late at night at 12:34. 1, 2, 3, 4 was the exact time on my alarm clock. The first piece of evidence to support it was actually nighttime. The second was that it was dark outside. And the third is that everyone in the house was still asleep. So I went into the bathroom. Solid evidence. So I went into the bathroom, did my business. But when I left the bathroom, my whole family was up. They were getting ready for a normal day. I was very confused, and I told my dad that I was sorry if I woke him up, and he looked at me oddly. I went back to my room, looked at the clock on my nightstand, and it read 7:58 a.m. I was utterly confused throughout the rest of the day. My parents brushed the whole thing off as no big deal.
So I feel like we have some sleepwalkers on our hand.
I would be kind of curious to hear from somebody who is a sleepwalker. Is that what it's like? Mike did tell me one time he went to bed, tucked himself in, woke up, and he was on the kitchen floor laying in front of the refrigerator.
Really? I had that happen. No, once I went to bed in my bed and then I woke up on the couch downstairs and I was like, how the hell did that happen? Like
time slip.
Time slip. Exactly.
Alissa, you have me on pins and needles. I have to know. I have to be a sleuth and connect the dots about time and electricity and that other thing I was supposed to remember but didn't. Do you have a story that will connect this interwoven web?
So many. Since I read so many stories, I forgot the ones that I actually saved. But it seems like so many of the stories happened in 2010 or 2011. I had 3 or 4 that I read that occurred in 2010. Then one was in 2011. 96 doesn't line up. And I was like, did something happen in 2010 that like caused time slips? Did like the world end or something? Okay, so then the second part of that is that in a bunch of these, like my first one about the Australian gal, like all of a sudden it got all rainy and stormy and like the weather changed. And that was a very common phenomenon that happened repeatedly in the stories. If you had told stories about time slips instead of people sleeping, then we might have gotten things lined up and yours would have happened. I really thought you were going to bring it, that we would like see the pattern emerge. Didn't happen.
Oh, God,
So
no.
really
I definitely
put
failed
the money on that.
on that one.
But that was it. It was like all of a sudden it's a beautiful sunny day and then all of a sudden the clouds move in and something changes. Oftentimes they're going into this town or something where everyone seems to look at them funny too and like act like they're unwelcome and super out of place, like they do not belong. There's just a shift in the atmosphere. And then the third part now was the electricity thing. Was that possibly with the rail
train? Oh, gotcha.
Yeah, the train. Well, because that's the big theory of the Bond Street or Bold Street one was like the electricity. And so maybe my microwave guy got shocked and maybe your guy hopped into the bathtub with a blow dryer on.
Which guy? The one? Oh, that was his business, is to electrocute.
That was his business.
Electrocute himself in the bathroom.
Yes.
Solved. This was a phenomenal topic. I feel like we could honestly do another episode and probably will in the future.
Yeah, I think we could.
If you listeners have a time slip or a weird time and space phenomenon, which apparently is what mine were more than a slip, you can email them to us.
Yes, you can do that at skeletalspodcast@gmail.com. If you've ever sleptwalked,
yes.
If you are a sleepwalker, I want to know what that feels like, what that looks like. I'm curious if you've had any strange episodes. Please tell us about those. You can call our hotline and tell us about them.
302-689-DEAD. 302-689-3323. Oh, yeah. We are on all the socials. We are on Instagram. We are on Facebook. We are on TikTok. We are on YouTube at Skeletales Pod. Go over there and watch some fun unseen content. What else, Alyssa?
You can go check out our Etsy shop.
Yes.
And support the show. You can also go check out Hi, Hello There and use our little promo code over there for 15% off. It's Shadow People and you're going to love his shop. You should go totally check it out. Go buy something. Tell him that Skeletal sent you.
Oh, there was something else I was going to say. I remember what it is now, Alyssa. Haunt you later.
Hunt you later. Good night.
Good night.